On the night of our 30th wedding anniversary, I was heading to a luxury restaurant that frequently graces the cover of prestigious lifestyle magazines. It was a place reserved by my husband, Nicholas, who mentioned he had a special surprise. Upon my arrival, a waiter immediately ushered me towards an exclusive VIP seating area. As I neared our designated table, I suddenly stopped in my tracks. Seated next to Nicholas was a young woman whose face was unfamiliar to me. Her black hair was perfectly styled, and she seemed to shimmer with sophistication. "Catherine, I'm glad you're here," Nicholas said as he stood up, his smile strained and awkward. "Let me introduce Brittany Miller. She's recently joined my company as the new director," he continued. A tight sensation gripped my heart. Brittany slightly arched her well-groomed eyebrows and offered a polite smile. "Catherine, it's an honor to meet you. I've heard nothing but wonderful things from Nicholas," she said. A chilling sense of dread washed over me. Why on earth would my husband bring another woman to our anniversary dinner? "Please, have a seat," Nicholas prompted, deliberately avoiding eye contact. The waiter poured champagne, and Nicholas raised his glass in a toast. 30 years. It has indeed been a lengthy and memorable journey. Over the years, his hair had developed streaks of silver, which complemented the shadowed contours of his once vibrant blue eyes, now looking coldly back at me. A waiter approached with a silver cloche, announcing it was a special treat for the lady, before leaving us alone. "Please, open it," Nicholas suggested with a nervous smile. As Brittany prepared to record the moment on her smartphone, I lifted the cloche. Instead of the expected celebratory cake or sparkling jewels, I found an official document, neatly tied with a green ribbon. A divorce application. I uttered in disbelief, my voice barely a whisper. "Catherine, I think we should proceed amicably as adults," Nicholas stated in a tone befitting a business meeting. "I want to start a new life. You can have the house. In exchange, I'll take the cabin and the joint account. That seems fair, doesn't it?" he proposed. Brittany smiled satisfactorily. I also saw her subtly place her hand on Nicholas's knee under the table. Fair. To end 30 years of marriage like this. And in front of her. "Catherine, please remember this is a public place," Nicholas lowered his voice. "Please, don't cause a scene." I stood up, grabbing a champagne glass. "Nicholas, for 30 years, I have cooked your meals, ironed your clothes, supported your career. And this is your way of saying thanks? I've given you everything you wanted," he leaned forward. "A beautiful home. Financial stability. Everything but loyalty." Champagne splattered across his face and stained his expensive suit. Brittany screamed and recoiled. Gasps from surrounding tables filled the air. "Happy anniversary," I slammed the glass down and left the restaurant. Tears only began to fall once I was outside. He really did that? In front of his mistress? The next morning, my friend Sandra said, shocked by my story. We were holding mugs tightly in her kitchen. I had been sleepless all night and rushed to her house first thing in the morning. 30 years of marriage ended at a high-end restaurant table. And in front of her. As if he wanted to show me being discarded. "Who is Brittany?" Sandra asked. "I don't know. But she's at least 20 years younger than me, with perfect makeup and sophisticated attire." As I sipped my coffee, memories flashed before me like a montage. You know, when Nicholas and I met, he was just a salesman. I was already gaining attention when I held my first solo exhibition at a college gallery. He showed up and said, "Your paintings have a soul." I had even been selected for a group exhibition at MoMA at that time. Sandra nodded. She was one of the few friends who knew me from the start of my career. When Nicholas started his business, I gave up everything. Scholarships, a residency in New York. I designed the logo and branding for his company. I helped with presentations at the first investor meeting. I perfectly prepared dinner parties for his receptions. I continued, looking out the window. Bit by bit, I also found my path. Interior design jobs. Clients I met at company parties. Eventually, my design studio became a crucial element supporting Nicholas's company. I designed logos and pamphlets for his business partner's company as well. That's true, Sandra said. Your designs were well regarded in the industry. And this is the reward I get. It's just too cruel. I lamented as my phone rang. A message from my daughter, Lauren, appeared. Mom, come over this afternoon. I need to talk. Lauren's message had an urgency to it. I had informed her immediately after last night's events, and she must have been shaken too. That afternoon, when I arrived at the home of my daughter, Lauren, and her husband, Ethan, their usual smiles were absent. Come in, Lauren said as she hugged me and led me to the living room. Sitting on a brown leather sofa, Ethan opened his laptop and began to explain. We've been looking into this divorce issue after hearing about it. Lauren and I suspected something off about him and spent all night researching. Last month, when I was helping him with his tax filings, I noticed some irregularities that might be related to this. Ethan turned the laptop screen towards me. It displayed a history of unrecorded withdrawals from the joint account over the past 3 years. Millions of dollars had vanished into mysterious investments and consultancy fees. And then yesterday, we found these. Lauren showed me scanned data of a series of documents with my signature on them. Stock transfers, corporate appointments, real estate transactions, I had no recollection of any of them. Did he forge my signature? It's worse, Mom. Lauren's eyes were blazing with anger. The name Brittany Miller keeps coming up. She's the woman recently appointed to the board of directors at Dad's company. Yes, the woman who was dining with you last night. I grasped the connection and felt weak in the knees. Ethan said quietly. But this isn't just an affair. Nicholas has been funneling company funds and using your signature to set up complex investment schemes. And he scrolled the laptop screen. Even worse, Ethan continued, he's been recording all the revenues from your design studio as profits for his company. All the projects from the last 10 years have been listed as his company's achievements. As I looked over the documents, I saw evidence of my success, the interior of an entire skyscraper in Boston, cosmetic posters in Chicago, office pamphlets for a tech company in San Francisco. All my design, my vision, my thousands of hours of work. All your work's achievements have been recorded as revenues for WorldRise Enterprises. And look at this. Lauren pointed to a place where my design was listed as a work of Nicholas's company. Did he erase my entire career? I asked, incredulous. Indeed, I had entrusted all contract and administrative work related to my office to Nicholas from the beginning. He had offered to handle it so I could focus on design. And I had entrusted everything to him because I fully trusted my husband. Mom, did you realize that every contract your studio took on also had Dad's company name on it? It was supposed to handle it as his wife's projects. All your earnings should have gone into the joint account. And now, he's saying he'll take the joint account. That's your 30 years of labor, Lauren continued. Moreover, Dad has transferred the legal ownership of your office to himself, Ethan said. He's turned the dreams you gave up for your marriage into profit. But I sacrificed everything to help his company grow. My voice trembled. I ran the design studio in the morning, attended his meetings in the afternoon, and entertained his clients at night. I planned dinner parties for investors from abroad on weekends. I reflected on the past 30 years. The artistic dreams I gave up for his company. The countless perfectly prepared dinner parties for his receptions. And my projects, praised throughout the industry. Everything started to take on a new meaning. He stole my life, my voice quivered. My youth, my talent, my career. And now, he's trying to take everything from me. Ethan pulled out a business card. A friend from my college days is a divorce attorney, Vanessa Smith. She's very capable, specializing in contentious divorces. I took the business card and ran my fingers over the embossed letters. "Are you planning to fight Dad?" Lauren asked, looking worried. I met her gaze. Beneath the fear and pain, something dangerous began to awaken. Something like vengeance, or perhaps justice. I said quietly, "Your father is going to realize just how wrong he is." Vanessa Smith's office was warmer and more welcoming than I had imagined. Certificates on the wall attested to her achievements. "Your situation isn't unusual," she said as she reviewed the documents. "But planned asset concealment, misuse of signatures, and career exploitation. This is more than just an affair." She opened the spreadsheet. "The settlement he proposed, offering you the house, is just a fraction of the assets he's hiding. All assets are part of the marital estate, including the revenue from your design studio," she explained. She opened another file. "I've also gathered evidence of him appropriating your career achievements. This amounts to infringement of intellectual property rights. First, we'll file for an emergency injunction to freeze all accounts," Vanessa Smith said. "Next, we'll track all the money he's moved and investigate Brittany Miller. What about her relationship with my husband? It's been going on for over 2 years. And she's not just a mistress. In the past 6 months, she's been appointed as a director at 3 different technology companies, all connected to your husband. Moreover, she's recently been introduced as an innovative design consultant, using ideas plagiarized from your portfolio." Vanessa outlined the strategy. "First, I'll send an emergency injunction to his lawyer. Let's see how they react." A few days later, a text from Nicholas arrived. "We need to talk. You don't understand. I got a call from my lawyer." "What have you done?" Planning my next move, I visited Vanessa's office. As expected, Vanessa Smith smiled with satisfaction. "The notification of the injunction has reached his lawyer. He's panicking. He must be worried about what's becoming known," she continued. "That's a good sign." Hearing this, I replied to the text. "Nicholas, I am not just Nicholas's wife. Haven't you noticed? Or have you just been too obsessed with Brittany Miller?" His response came instantly. "Brittany is not relevant to the issue at hand. The real problem here is what you've done with our money. I was the one who single-handedly built the company from the ground up. You were merely assisting me." Vanessa Smith said. "Next time you see him, ask about your design projects, the misappropriated revenue, and the forged signatures. Let's corner him." That night, a call from Nicholas came through. His voice mixed with desperation. "Catherine, what have you done? My lawyer contacted me. The accounts are frozen. Why are you so surprised?" I responded calmly. "Let's talk," he said. "How about dinner tomorrow at the Brooklyn Diner? We need a calm place to discuss." "Why do we need to discuss calmly? You don't understand what you're doing," he lowered his voice. "This isn't best for either of us. Especially not for you." That sounds like a threat. It's not a threat, he immediately said. It's a fact. You built your career in the design industry because of me. Without my company, my connections, you would have been just another art school dropout. His words boiled my blood. It felt like a denial of the achievements I had built up over 30 years. Fine. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll meet you there. When I entered the restaurant, he was visibly nervous, fiddling incessantly with a napkin. A pile of documents lay on the table. Catherine, there's no need to escalate this situation, he said immediately. This can be resolved amicably. Really? I said as I took a seat. What's important is what you've done with our money. Can you explain the board appointments, the offshore accounts, and the forged signatures? It was all for the benefit of the company, he defended. You benefited just as much. Did I? And what about my design achievements? He responded. Those were company projects. Under my name, my designs. Yet they appeared in trade magazines as Worldrise Enterprises' innovative vision, complete with your interviews. You just helped as a wife. Legally. Legally what? I interrupted him. Legally, my design studio was supposed to be an independent entity. Yet you illegally absorbed it. All of that can be explained. Save your explanations for the forensic accountants and intellectual property experts. An investigation into your copyright infringement is also about to start. Nicholas's face turned pale, and he seemed to age in an instant. Catherine, what have you done? I'm simply reclaiming my name. I stood up. You've taught me a valuable lesson. That sometimes the person you trust the most can become the least trustworthy, I said. He reached out his hand. Wait, this can be resolved. I'll end things with Brittany and return the rights to your design studio. Just consider the company's reputation. I brushed off his hand. For 30 years, I've considered your reputation. Now it's my turn. The following weeks were a storm. Court orders, demands for evidence disclosure, and legal maneuvers left me dizzy. One evening, a message from an unknown number arrived. Let's meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Riverside Cafe. Come alone. Brittany Miller. I hesitated and consulted Vanessa. It might be a trap, but it could be worth meeting her. You might gain new information. But if you're unsure, always contact me, she advised. With her support, I decided to meet Brittany. The next day, Brittany was sitting at a corner table in Riverside Cafe. Young and beautiful, she stood out even in the bustling cafe. However, as I approached, I could see she was visibly tired and nervous. I need help, she said as soon as I sat down. He seems to be setting something up to frame me. In front of her was a thick folder filled with legal documents. Look at this. Offshore accounts, irregular transactions, all in my name, she continued in a low voice. With your investigation starting, I'm worried I'll be made the scapegoat, and Nicholas will walk away unscathed. Her words clicked a piece into place. He's always used this tactic, I said. Both of us realized it too late. She leaned forward. But it's not too late to stop him. Let's do it together. Brittany was resolute. Unbeknownst to me, he signed many documents in my name, she explained. Investment opportunities, tax strategies. All lies. Are all these signatures forgeries? I asked. He said it was just to save time. And I? She looked away, embarrassed. I trusted him. I had done the same once. Blindly trusted him. I understand, I told Brittany. I'll have my lawyer verify your information. But first, let's see the evidence you have. Brittany looked relieved and opened the folder. It contained records of complex financial transactions, documents with my forged signature, and details of offshore accounts opened in my name. "Nicholas is using me to set you up," Brittany whispered. "I thought he really loved me at first. But now..." Her voice trembled. "He's using me to create evidence of financial fraud and will pin the blame on me when the investigation starts. Why are you cooperating with me now?" I looked at her skeptically. Brittany pulled out her smartphone and played a recording. Nicholas's voice was clear. "Don't worry, Brittany. Catherine's signature is already on the documents. If an investigation starts, she'll take the blame. We won't know anything." The recording stirred anger in me but also suggested she might truly be a collaborator. "I'll pass this information to my lawyer, Vanessa. I'll be in touch," I said as I left. "This is a trap," Vanessa asserted immediately after meeting with me. Upon examining the contents of the folder, these documents were all created recently. There's also a high likelihood that Brittany's recording has been edited. Is she not a victim then? No. She is Nicholas's accomplice, Vanessa revealed, showing a tablet with the surveillance video. This is Brittany visiting Nicholas's office yesterday. They are planning something, laughing together. Viewing the footage, my heart sank. Brittany was not a victim but part of Nicholas's scheme. "They're hoping we'll make a rash mistake," Vanessa said. "But let's be smarter in our approach." The next day, I sent a message to Brittany. "I appreciate your information. After consulting with my lawyer, we've decided to collaborate on gathering evidence. Tomorrow, there are important documents that need to be found in Nicholas's office. Can you help?" The response was quick. "Of course. What do you need?" I relayed a detailed plan, borrowing the office key, accessing Nicholas's laptop, and locating specific files. Though all the information was fabricated, Brittany readily agreed. Meanwhile, Lauren and Ethan were collecting real evidence. They gathered proof of Nicholas's true financial activities, forged signatures, and the usurpation of my design work. "Let's see what Nicholas and Brittany do next," Vanessa said. "They're likely to fall into their own trap." As expected, an angry message from Nicholas arrived. "Catherine, what are you doing? I heard from Brittany. Were you trying to break into my office? That's criminal." I replied calmly. "What are you talking about? I haven't planned anything with Brittany." His next message was threatening. "I have evidence. Brittany recorded it. I'll use it in court." Vanessa smiled with satisfaction. They've exposed their own trap. Now their conspiracy is clear. A week later, Nicholas's company was hosting its annual charity gala, an event attended by industry magnates and investors. I had been warned by Nicholas not to attend, but Vanessa had a different plan. "Let's reveal the truth at this event," she said. "Your design work is supposed to be displayed as the achievements of Nicholas's company." I was scared, but my resolve was firm. On the night of the gala, dressed in an elegant black dress, I entered the venue with confidence. Nicholas's face filled with indignation upon seeing me. Brittany stood by his side, her eyes wide with surprise. "What are you doing here?" Nicholas hissed quietly. "Just here to see my own work." I smiled. Nicholas approached, urging me to leave immediately. However, it was then that his subordinate whispered to him, "It's time." His speech time had arrived. Reluctantly, he moved away from me. Nicholas stood before the microphone, beginning to talk about the company's success and innovative design vision. That's when Vanessa's plan was set into motion. Suddenly, the big screen lit up, displaying my design sketches, signed contracts, and photos of meetings I had conducted alone with clients. Next, surveillance footage of Nicholas forging my signature played. "This is our company's." Nicholas's words faltered. The screen abruptly switched, showing his perturbed face. I took the microphone. "Good evening, everyone. I am Katherine Johnson, the true creator of these designs. And I am the wife used by the man here, Nicholas Johnson, and his mistress, Brittany Miller." The room was shocked. I continued. "For 30 years, I dedicated my talent and effort. Yet, my husband stole my work, presenting it as his own achievements. He has also misused company funds and forged my signature to blame me. Tonight, I reveal the truth." As evidence prepared by Vanessa continued to be displayed, Nicholas stood frozen in anger and fear. Brittany attempted to flee the venue but was met by waiting police officers. "Nicholas Johnson, you are under arrest for financial fraud and document forgery," an officer declared. I watched quietly as he was handcuffed and led away. 3 months later, I stood in front of a small gallery. The sign "Catherine Baker Art and Design" shone brightly. I had returned to my maiden name and reclaimed my true self after 30 years. "You're amazing, Mom," Lauren said, placing her hand on my shoulder. Inside the gallery, my latest works were on display: abstract paintings, designs, and new interior concepts, all credited to me and my achievements. "It's never too late." I smiled. "For a new beginning." In a corner of the gallery was an unfinished painting I had begun 30 years ago, planned for a residency in New York. Now, I finally had the time and freedom to complete it. Nicholas was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and Brittany was also charged as an accomplice. Nicholas's company went bankrupt, and I received fair compensation during the divorce mediation. However, the most valuable thing I regained was myself. As I signed my name as Catherine Baker, I smiled.